Hello? My name is Bernard Minster. If you think you hear an accent, it's all in your head. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. No, not true, in France. It's my great pleasure to start the proceedings this afternoon and to introduce Cathy Handzel. Cathy is the president of the San Diego chapter of DarkSky International. Now, DarkSky International is a big organization. It goes through many countries. The thing that you need to know about Cathy is that she works, by my count, 36 hours a day. Oh, no, was it 38? Anyway, she has a full-time job, and now she is president of this organization and does an incredible amount of work. In a few years when she was president, the chapter has gone from being on the verge of disappearing because of not having a budget to working pretty well. Just look at how many people came. So Cathy is going to give you an introduction to the DarkSky activities here in San Diego and how they match in worldwide. So, Cathy?
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, it was 40 hours, right?
Thank you, Bernard. Well, welcome, everyone. Thank you, Bernard, for that introduction. Welcome, welcome, welcome to a San Diego DarkSky Festival here in beautiful Julian, California. And we are here at the Mangini Winery. They were a generous sponsor and gave us the use of their property, and we are so grateful. This festival is being put on, and I apologize, it's a little bright, so our screen isn't as bright as we would like it, but that's okay. As it gets dark, it'll get brighter. Again, I'm with DarkSky San Diego County, and also putting on this festival is the Julian DarkSky Network, Borrego Springs, and Fallbrook Land Conservancy DarkSky Committee. So this was a big group effort across 4 different DarkSky advocacy organizations in San Diego County. Okay, thank you. And thank you to our festival sponsors. Again, Mangini Winery, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for their generous support. DarkSky International provided us some funding. Mom's Pies, you can stop get one on the way home. Ramona Disposal Service. The Julian DarkSky Network also contributed funding. Then we have Orchard Realty and also Borrego Valley Realty. Both gave us some financial contributions, so we thank them. And the Julian Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for their generous support. So thank you to our sponsors. Yeah. And we thank our speakers and exhibitors. I'm number 1 up here, but we've got a lot of different speakers happening throughout the day and into the evening. And there's a program posted somewhere around here. Louisa posted it for us. And all of our exhibitors, please stop at all the exhibitor booths. Ask them, what their mission is, and please thank them for being here because they took their time to come all the way up and set all this up. It's going to be a long day. And thanks to our expert panelists, we are having a panel following my talk with some DarkSky experts. We have someone who actually came all the way from Ensenada to speak with us here. He is actually on the board of DarkSky International. That's Fernando. And then Liz Harrison, Paul Erickson is a lighting specialist. And then you met Bernard already. He's quite the jokester. He'll be back to MC that event. And then Kamala Venkatesh was going to do a talk. Actually, Jim Nee was going to do a talk. He had to cancel. And Kamala also, unfortunately, had to cancel. So we won't have her talk on astrophotography. So I apologize for that. But that is why dark skies matter, and you'll learn more then. Okay, my name is Cathy Handzel. I've always loved gazing up at the moon and the star in the skies. And I began my light pollution journey back in 2016 because of my neighbor's trespassing lights and because I noticed San Diego, the city, was putting in these bright LED street lights. And I started using the sun visor in my car as a street light visor because those lights really bothered me as I approached them. And I am with DarkSky San Diego County, currently serving as chapter president. And everything I say here today is on behalf of our volunteer chapter. I do not speak for DarkSky International. DarkSky International has led the global movement to protect the night from light pollution since its founding as the International Dark Sky Association back in 1988. Our volunteer impact spans more than 70 countries, and there's 70 chapters also around the world, literally. When I attend these webinars, there's people from all over the world, sometimes attending at 10 at night, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. It's absolutely amazing. They are truly global. DarkSky conserves the night sky. Conservation is one of their big things. They have actually certified more than 200 international dark sky places, 22 different countries on 6 continents. Our mission, DarkSky's mission, my mission as a member, is to restore the nighttime environment and protect communities and wildlife from the harmful effects of light pollution through outreach, advocacy, and conservation. And again, we're with DarkSky San Diego County. In case you weren't aware, you today are in an international dark sky community. We've got 3 of them. The first was Borrego Springs, believe it or not, the second in the world, certified back in 2009. And we actually have some folks from Borrego Springs here. Please visit their table and ask them what it's like to live in a dark sky community. Anza Borrego Desert State Park is now the 3rd largest state park in the country. They got certified years ago and as a dark sky park, and then Julian was designated in May of 2021, the 30th in the world, and only the 2nd in California. So what's next? Well, we're working to certify the Laguna Mountain Recreation Area as an international dark sky park. And the unincorporated community of Fallbrook, Luisa Cano is here today. She's been working for the last couple of years to gain momentum. They have an application in progress to become an international dark sky community. And then the city of San Diego, because we're talking about the night sky, right? So what? The sky's the limit. But dark skies aren't just for national parks and rural communities. To my point about the city of San Diego, city folk need dark skies for our health and well-being. Urban wildlife needs darkness to survive and thrive. It doesn't have to be this way. You saw the Milky Way in La Mesa in the 70s? Guess what? We can bring that back. We can. We just need to change the way we light at night. And Mission Trails Regional Park is going to seek certification for an urban night sky place. Now, they're not dark enough to be a dark sky park, but there's a new certification from DarkSky International to be an urban night sky place. So they do night walks. The San Diego Astronomy Association has star parties there in 2 different locations in Mission Trails. So twice a month they have star parties. So outreach is part of being a dark sky place. But Mission Trails, when they're certified, will really raise awareness in the city of San Diego and the surrounding areas. So ecotourism and astrotourism is very popular right now, and it's once Mission Trails become certified, right now they only have campgrounds open on the weekend. Well, that could attract enough interest that campground could be open and full all week long. So what does that mean? That means people come to the campground, then they need to buy food, then they need to gas up. And maybe they'll go visit a museum in San Diego or come out to Julian and spend money downtown and buy a pie. So, ecotourism and astrotourism can really benefit the local economy. And back in central Illinois, there's a dark sky park, and the supervisor said the public's embrace of that dark sky park is more than he would have ever imagined. They've got people that come all the way from Louisiana to central Illinois, and they'll stay there a week. So what is light pollution? Light pollution used to be defined as the excessive or inappropriate use of artificial light at night, and DarkSky has recently changed their definition. Now they say that light pollution is the human-made alteration of outdoor light levels from those that are naturally occurring. I was going to play a short video, but we're short on time, and also the sound wasn't working, so we are going to bypass that for now. What is light pollution? Light pollution has 4 components: glare, light clutter, sky glow, and light trespass. So this is an example of glare, excessive brightness that causes visual discomfort. Imagine if you were living there and you're trying to sleep in that bedroom upstairs Even if you had a blackout curtain, that bright light is going to seep around the edges, and your whole room will be lit up at night, especially once your eyes adjust with night vision. And look at that tree. Actually, I skip. Here's my little light pass into the bedroom. And look at that tree. That tree's all lit up. What if a bird wanted to nest there? It's not going to work out very well, is it? Light clutter is bright, confusing. It's excessive number of lights in one place. We see this out on the roadway and with the street lights, right? You have to look at the street light to see the traffic light. It's unsafe for drivers and pedestrians. And here's a photo I took at the near the airport at Harbor Island. I went to pick up my husband from the airport. Downtown San Diego, sky glow, brightening of the night sky over inhabited areas. Who can see 3 stars? No one. So why should I care? There's so much going on in the world today. There's war, there's financial difficulties, political things going on. My own neighborhood, my kids got to go to school, my job, I might have to work a second job. Why should I care about light pollution? I just don't have the bandwidth for that. Well, we should care because the night sky is disappearing. 80% of the world and 99% of Americans and Europeans can no longer see our Milky Way galaxy. And here's some other reasons why we should care. Because light pollution affects wildlife, our own human health. It wastes tremendous amounts of energy. And if you don't believe in climate change, you still probably believe in saving money, right? So we spend a lot of money on wasteful lighting. And our cultural heritage. See that beautiful picture of Vincent van Gogh's Starry Nights? We see that everywhere, don't we? Right? Could you imagine him being able to have the inspiration to paint that if he lived in the city of San Diego today? Likely not, right? And light pollution's a safety issue. Think of those bright headlights on the road. That's not safe, is it? It's dangerous. Here's a picture of the Bortle scale. It's a 9-level numeric scale that measures night sky brightness in a particular location. I believe Borrego Springs used to be a Bortle 3, and I think they're now a 4, if I'm not mistaken. You can check with Mary at her table. But, most of us live over here. And that's really sad, right? That's a sad face. I'm going to paraphrase a quote from Dr. Paul Bogart. He wrote an excellent book called The End of Night. And he basically said, we've taken what was one of the most common human experiences and made it one of the most rare. Just walking out the door at night and seeing a night sky. Here is a simulation of the increase of light pollution over the years. And you start at the top left here, over to the right, down here. And guess what? Over at the lower right, that's 2025. That's right about where we're at, isn't it? It's really sad. And here's what San Diego looks like. You've got a dark ocean with no light virtually, and you've got a desert. We could be so dark between those two dark spaces, and we're choosing to just light it up. Light pollution impacts astrophotography. This is the same image taken from 2 different places, Julian and San Marcos, with similar equipment. And light pollution, is energy waste. We all recognize this misaimed sprinkler system. This is a neighbor of mine in City Heights. Literally water, water running down the drain. There's money going down the drain. That's so obvious, right? But we don't realize that with light because we can't touch it, we can't feel it, it's not tangible. We don't see it shooting up in the sky. Outdoor lighting can be dark sky friendly, and we do that by lighting what you need, when you need it, only as bright as necessary, and fully shield lighting and point it downward. Motion lights are one of the worst things. They're great because they're not on all the time, but the box shows it like this. No, you really need to pivot it down. And sometimes that means installing that light upside down. Because if you install it like this, you're lighting up your neighbor's house, and that's not cool. So light is energy. Use it. Don't lose it. Dark sky friendly lighting is neighbor friendly, environment friendly, wildlife friendly, and guess what? Oh, I did have sound. It's also pocketbook friendly. Light pollution harms wildlife. More and more research is coming out on the impacts of artificial light on wildlife at night. Sea turtle hatchlings come out of their shell in the sand, and instinctively they head for the light of the moon and the stars on the ocean, and that's where they need to go. But guess what happens? They see street lights and condo lighting, and whoops, they turn around, and they go the wrong way. They get hit by cars, eaten by predators, and they can die of starvation or dehydration. And there's a lot of work in Florida for that, a lot of dark sky evices and special lighting specifically for that. Frogs don't know when it's time to croak. It affects their mating ritual and reproduction. Now, I don't care about frogs. They're slimy. Ooh! But frogs eat a lot of insects. And I know there's insect decline, but, frogs eat a lot of insects, and that helps us. There's a balance. Artificial light impacts marine habitat. This is something that's being studied more now. And this is periphyton, again, that green slimy stuff. You can, slip on it if it's on rocks. It's like, ooh, who cares? But LED exposure reduced the occurrence of periphyton by more than 50%. That's just from lights on land shining into the water. And guess what? That's a primary food source, in the food chain. That affects all, fish, all marines. Artificial light can kill migrating birds, and I thank Tracy Aviary Conservation Science Program for this beautiful, beautiful slide. Much like insects, to a light bulb, light from towns, suburbs, and cities that spill into the skies attracts birds and it draws them in. And that could lead to building collisions. And also birds exhaust themselves navigating these unfamiliar places. And then, as I said, out of order, they can strike, lit or reflective windows. It's estimated that between 365 million and 1 billion birds die in these bird strikes or collisions each year, and that's in North America alone. Tragedy, October 2023 in Chicago, nearly 1,000 bird deaths, one night, one building. This is the Lakefront Center over here, the darker building, and you'll notice that's not a skyscraper. That's a low rise. That's a very low building. There was a weather event, pushed the birds down. The vendors in the exhibit hall did not close the shades. It was optional at the time. The light was on inside, and the birds thought that was somewhere to go. And almost 900 and something birds, almost 1,000 on one night. It's estimated here at the bottom, more than 40,000 birds have died after hitting McCormick Place since 1978. But there's a light at the end of that tunnel. They did spend $1.2 million putting bird-friendly window film with little dots on it. In that next migration season, I think they had like 20 bird deaths. So significant success there. And what's the impacts of light pollution on migrating songbirds? Well, San Diego's on the Pacific Flyway. Our city lights can be extremely harmful to birds. They can migrate too early or too late. It's like, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is their food might not be ready. Maybe it hasn't, flowered yet and it bared fruit, or all the food's gone when they get there because they left late. So it is a big deal. Again, they can wander off course. They can land in urban areas without access to the critical resources they need on their migration. And if you haven't read up on migration, it is absolutely fascinating. I would suggest read up on bird migration. It's amazing. And again, fatal collisions, windows and walls, rope, light poles, and so forth. Impact of bad outdoor lighting on nesting habits. This is the Middle Fork River Forest Preserve in central Illinois. I mentioned it earlier. My husband and I visited there when I went to see family in Chicago. This was a really dark spot on a light pollution map, and the Champaign-Urbana Astronomical Society approached the park supervisor saying, hey, do you guys want to be a dark sky park? And I heard this gentleman speak at a dark sky conference in Tucson, and he was like, oh my gosh, change is tough. What are they going to make us do? We're going to have to spend money on lights. What is this going to involve? But what they found was once they shielded the lights at the park, birds started nesting in trees by the lights. In the middle of nowhere here, those birds had been displaced by light pollution. So I'll ask you, consider the lighting in your own backyard. Shield lights and aim them down, not up or out at trees. That might be where birds want to rest or nest. And use soft white amber light. I'll talk more about this later, but color temperature of 2700 Kelvin or 2200 is best. It's just light, right? Well, it might seem harmless, it's just light. But light pollution has far-reaching consequences that are harmful to all living things. You know, when I first see this picture, I think, oh, it's so pretty, it's beautiful, look at all those sparkling lights, woo! But when you think about what that is, that's our street lights, porch lights, parking lot lights, car headlights, office buildings, commercial signage, government facilities and billboards. Oh my gosh, how much light do we need? You know, we need to stop light pollution. Responsible outdoor lighting helps with that. It reduces light pollution, it leads to a better quality of life for all living things, and it starts with a good lighting ordinance. Here in San Diego County, the lighting ordinance was intended to minimize light pollution, to allow citizens to view and enjoy the nighttime environment. It also protects astronomical research at our two world-class observatories, Palomar and Mount Laguna Observatory. And Dr. Quimby from MLO, as they call it, will be speaking later tonight about the research that they're doing there. And Zone C was created by the hard work of the Julian DarkSky Network members, including founder Doug Solacey. They actually got the county to create a new lighting zone. And this is just a quick picture of the 3 different zones in San Diego County. And color, temperature, and brightness. In case you're not familiar, you can look at the light, the label on a light fixture, and you'll see the color temperature from the warmer to the cooler. And the cooler is more blue, like sun. And then we used to talk about watts. You know, it's a 60 watt, it's 100 watts. Well, watts now are used specifically to talk about energy use. And instead, when we talk about brightness, we talk about lumens. So we're starting to make that transition. The Illuminating Engineering Society and one of their members, Paul Erickson, will be talking later on our panel. And the IES partnered with DarkSky, you'll see, on principles of responsible outdoor lighting. And they recommend 840 luminums as a good light level for a bedroom. That's equivalent to like a 60 watt light. And here's a little picture of the ordinance. We're going to skip that for the sake of time. And the city of San Diego also has a lighting ordinance, and light is not supposed to trespass onto surrounding properties. And outdoor lighting color temp shouldn't exceed 4,000 Kelvin. We know now that it should be lower. It should be 3,000. And most lighting, believe it or not, should be turned off between 11 p.m. and 6 p.m., not left on all night. If you're in San Diego County and you want to know what your lighting ordinance is, you can look it up on our website. You can visit darkskysandiego.org and hit our resources tab. You know, we need night. The dark sky movement is not about taking away everyone's lights. It's about giving you something back, good visibility, and also an amazing night sky that you may have never seen. We need night just like we need sunlight. Now, blue light's been getting a bad rap lately. You know, don't look at your phone, turn off your computer, even your TV's a computer. Don't look at your TV at night. But blue is good. The blue particles help us wake up, give us energy. They help our mood. But that's a good thing, right? But it's only a good thing during the day. Daylight white light is not for nighttime, unless you're working in a job or, somewhere where they need, task bright white lighting. We have our circadian rhythm, our 24-hour clock. We need to keep that in check, right? So there's a photoreceptor in our eyes, which has nothing to do with vision, but it detects the color of light, and it tells our body what time of day it is and what should be happening in our body, different physiological things. And so melatonin is regulated as part of that process. Melatonin affects the sleep-wake cycle, as you probably know. It also inhibits hunger because you don't want to be getting up and eating at night. And it's an anti-inflammatory, a powerful antioxidant. And it also suppresses estrogen, which is really important. And that is why they see a link between some estrogen-related cancers like breast and prostate cancer related to circadian disruption. Can also lead to diabetes, heart disease, daytime fatigue, which can lead you to have accidents. And recently, outdoor nighttime light exposure was associated with a higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. Women in developed countries are 5 times more likely to develop breast cancer. So there are steps that we can take at home to address our lighting, but what about when we're outside? So that street light is bright white. That's blue light. It says, hey, it tells us it's daytime. And the American Medical Association back in 2016 issued guidance that we should not be using 4,000 Kelvin bright white high intensity streetlights. What they said, the American Medical Association said that that's a road hazard. It causes disability glare, visual impairment. 5 times greater impact on circadian sleep rhythms than other color temperatures. Can cause retinal damage from the blue spectrum light. And it reduces sleep and impairs our daytime functioning. They recommended 3,000 Kelvin or less, which looks more like this. Okay, the bottom line, we need sleep. To sleep, we need darkness. Dark is not bad. Dark is. Good night. And it's not only us, trees, plants. Trees are impacted by light pollution. See the street light? Look at that. Where the light from the street light is, the leaves are still on the tree. Yeah, well, they'll fall off eventually. Well, if that tree does not go fully dormant before winter kicks in, that could shorten the tree's life from disease. Soybean plants are impacted by light pollution. You can see in this field, by every street light is a ring of soybeans that still have not finished their growth cycle. Many cactus species bloom only in the darkness, and guess what? They're pollinated by nocturnal insects or small animals like moths and bats, which are also affected by light pollution. And pollinators can die from exposure to light at night. Moths are a primary nighttime pollinator. And what do we think of moths? Oh, those are the things that fly around the light at night. Well, they're supposed to be busy pollinating our food and our flowers in our garden. So that's a big problem. Researchers from the University of Cincinnati came out with research that said if you like monarch butterflies, maybe you want to turn off your porch light. They said even a single porch light or street light can affect the navigational abilities of monarch butterflies and cause them to take flight when they should be roosting for the night. So is there a solution to all this light pollution? Don't anyone say blackout curtains, please. Please don't tell me blackout curtains. That's not the right answer. The right answer is the solution to bad lighting is simply good lighting. Now, DarkSky International does not sell lighting, but what they do is they have a program that certifies lighting that is DarkSky friendly. And they recently updated that program, and you can go on to darksky.org and find a list of fixtures. Just be cautious if they have an integrated LED. Make sure it's dim enough for you. I did have a neighbor across the street put some in, and they were like 100-watt equivalent. And even though they were the warmer color temp, they were just too bright, and they're elevated. So I get all that light, across the street. So I like the kind that I can actually put in my own warmer, lower lumen bulb. We learn to be water wise. We can learn to light wisely. Light pollution is nothing more than bad lighting habits. Think of it as lighting pollution, because that's what it is. It's our lighting that's polluting the night sky. Unshielded, poorly aimed, too bright, too white. On all night. Guess what? We can fix bad lighting. It's simple. The 5 principles for responsible outdoor lighting was created by the Illuminating Engineering Society in partnership with DarkSky International. Light should be useful and only input where it's needed. I see buildings, with a brick back, and then there's 6 wall pack lights on the back of the building. There's not even a door there. Do you think someone's going to break in the brick and come in? Why is that lit up all night? Light should be targeted, shield it, aim it down, and it should be the lowest level you can use to get the light that you need. Don't maximize, minimize. And controlling it with motion sensors and dimming is really helpful. And again, just be careful where you aim it. And use the warm color, soft amber light. And here's a great visual. I'm sorry you can't see this that good. I have some postcards at our dark sky table over by the telescopes, but it goes from the unacceptable, which is just a ball of light shining everywhere, down to the better light, which is fully shielded, where the light element itself is up inside there, so you don't get that glare. And then even better is having it motion activated. We can light it right and protect the night. And this is, again, the back side of that postcard with the 5 principles listed. Again, just a quick picture of bad lighting and easy solutions. neighbor and night sky friendly lighting. If people don't like calling it dark sky, it's neighbor friendly and wildlife and night friendly. Oh, let me go back to that one because I like that. And if you're turning in, why not turn it off? You turn off the other lights at your house, right? Save money. Lighting and crime. Okay, I got to wrap up quick. Lighting and crime. So most people get concerned about crime. I'll give you some quick info. The National Institute for Crime Prevention, or the NICP, actually partners with DarkSky International. Their shared goals are to reduce glare, increase visibility, keep eyes on the street, attract attention with motion activation, and be sure to set your sensitivity properly to avoid the light that cried wolf. My neighbor put in a motion light in their yard, and every time the leaf blows a leaf that light's on, I stop looking. You know, the motion light is useless. I don't look anymore. And then also you can look about crime prevention through environmental design, or CEPTED, which incorporates good lighting as part of keeping things safe. Light attracts graffiti tagging. Nice big wall. Where's the tag? Right in front of that light. So number one principle, light should be useful and have a clear purpose. Where's this light aimed? At a wall and up into the sky. That is not a good use of light or electricity. That's just silly. And I'll tell you a quick one. When I was taking those photographs at the Kohl's over at College Grove, I was traipsing out of the mulch, and here comes the security guy in the truck. He says, "Did you just do that?" I went, no, I'm a dark sky advocate. I'm taking pictures of the graffiti. He thought I tagged it. I'm like, God. Yikes. Chicago Alley Project. So they did an experiment on an 8-block alley versus another 8-block alley where there was no change. They added almost double the lights and increased the brightness from 90 watts to 250 watts, more than double the brightness. You would expect crime to be cut in half, right? No, crime reports went up 21%. Substance abuse violations reports went up 50%. In the day, overall crime right there in that area decreased by 7%. In the daytime, substance abuse showed no change. Now, they did say in the report that crime reports went up. There's no way to know that crime itself went up. Could be that more people called it in because they see it. I have my doubts, and I'll show you why. Streetlights and vehicle break-ins. Streetlights, this study turned off streetlights from midnight till 5 a.m. on certain streets. And guess what? Vehicle break-ins decreased by 50% when the streetlights were turned off. On adjacent streets where the streetlights were still on, break-ins went up. They just went over to the other place where the cars were lit up. And the proponents of having more streetlights changed their argument then. They said, well, at least the streetlights make people feel more secure. So let's keep putting more in. But the Arkansas Natural Dark Sky Association said, well, that's worth considering. But if people aren't actually more safe, you're kind of doing them a disservice putting lights in to make them feel safe if they're really not. Now, this is my porch light and street light. This is a home that looks very much like the one I lived in the south suburbs of Chicago where I grew up. I had 2 rear doors where there was no light, no fence, and no dog. Guess where they broke in? In the front. I had a street light right across. I got white aluminum siding, and I have my porch light on. I'm the smallest house on the block. I'm in the middle of the block. They targeted me. Okay. And here, this is in San Diego. My neighbor was selling a bunch of stuff on eBay. He had it in his van parked out front because now I don't leave my porch light on. So see how it's nice and dark along the sidewalk there? Where'd they break in? Whoop, on the street side where it's all lit up from those apartment building lights I told you about. There's also 2 street lights. You know, light gives us the illusion of safety. I mean, it's even hard. I'm sorry, I wish this was a better color. Looking at this light up here, $29.99, you know, you can light up your neighbor's bedrooms for 4 or 5 blocks away, you know. But, you know, it even hurts for me to look at the picture. And then you see an ATM here. Now, that's not what it looks like with naked eye, but the camera does that. But you can see, I mean, it's just blinding, you know, that doesn't make me feel safe. And then there's an unshielded light in a parking lot, and there's people standing right there. So are dark sky communities hotbeds of crime? Are people flocking, you know, busloads to Julian, up to Sedona, you know, hitting our national parks? Has crime gone up there once they got certified as dark sky parks? No, No, that's not the case just because they use lighting responsibly. Now, we all have human night vision, and guess what? It only works at low light levels. It only works in the dark. Our night vision rarely kicks in, and it takes 20 minutes for it to really start kicking in. A protein called rhodopsin gets released in our bodies just because our eyes aren't picking up light. It's amazing the physiological changes that happen to our bodies because of light. It really takes 35 to 45 minutes to really dark adapt, and even hours later, astronomers will say that their eyes keep getting, even more dark adapted. And guess what? Bright light spoils it instantly. And we'll be asking people to use red lights later. We'll be handing out red cellophane and red bags for cameras and phones and flashlights. After sunset, consider lighting with the color of fire. What's the history of light at night? Fire pits, torches, candles, gas lanterns. It was warm. That's what we used. No, I'm not saying to go backwards, We're going to go forwards because we're learning that that is the best color light to use. And it's also relaxing. Who wants to have, go into a bathroom in a hotel and it's lit up, it's like, oh my God. It's tranquil. There's a nice ambiance to that. Brighter isn't better. I mean, take a look at this. When you shield that light, you can see there's a guy standing behind the fence. Let's look at that again. Bright light, nice and safe, right? Well, you didn't realize there was somebody there. And try that yourself. When you're walking and you see glare, do that and you'll see. All of a sudden, it's hard to see. You cover your light and boy, it really helps. Brighter is not safer. This is AutoZone in City Heights near my house. And guess what? That light's so bright, the street light isn't illuminated and the bus stop is completely dark. And there's a person over here on the left. Can you make that person out with all that bright light? No, he's a silhouette, a backlit silhouette. Smoking was once a bright idea, right? Doctors recommended it, relaxation, pleasure. It was a social activity. We learned a lesson on that, right? Go ahead, light up. Some are saying that artificial light at night is a new secondhand smoke. Is your light making me sick? The American Medical Association, the World Health Organization, and the American Stroke Association have all come out with research saying that we have to be careful about our exposure to artificial light at night. Go ahead, light it up. And light trespass. You wouldn't squirt your hose in your neighbor's bedroom window, right? You wouldn't do that. Who would do that? Or aim your sprinkler system at their patio? No. But why do we do it with light? We think that's okay. How much light do we need? And light travels far. If you look at this light here, it's misaimed. There's a little light on the driveway, but where's most of that light going? Right into the windows at the house across the street. And light travels far. I mean, you think about how bright the moon is on a full moon night. Think about how far is that light's coming from how far away? How far away is the moon? 238,000 miles. That light's traveling far. Oh, the moon doesn't produce light, does it? Where is that light coming from? Oh my God, that light's coming from the sun. The sun is how far away? 93 million miles. I looked it up. I don't really know. 93 million miles. That light is coming, and I know the sun's bright, but the point is that light is traveling 93 million miles, hitting the moon, bouncing off its surface, and lighting the whole, surface of the Earth. Really light, really bright with a full moon. Now, here's a picture of good neighbor lighting. It's not fun when this is happening to you. I've been, had this experience. It's an intrusive invasion of privacy. It affects quality of life. Keep your lights to yourself. This is my neighbor's new security light, nice and bright. And this is picture here. This is my shadow from that bright light on the house across the street. This whole house is lit up. Here's the street sign. Here's the shadow of it on their garage. Awful. Here's what my shadow and this street sign. Here's what that light looks like from our living room window. I told my husband, he came home, I'm like, hey, check this out, He's like, what is that? I said, oh, that's Carmen's new light, the Sober Living down the block. So 2 phone calls, 1 voicemail, and 1 text message, and it got fixed. But you know what I did in the beginning? I did this. There's no neighborhood watch when no one's watching. So that bright light, rather than helping to reduce crime, I shut my curtain and eyes off the street. So that was not helpful. You know, we all have a right to experience night, and here's how you can help. Talk with your friends, family, and coworkers. Tell them what you heard today. You know, take a Lights Out San Diego flyer. I have some on my table. You can hang it at a coffee shop or post it in your local library and help us out with that. And talk to your neighbor about their lights. Don't be afraid. I've had more successes than not when talking to neighbors, even businesses. I've got to change lighting. And DarkSky.org has lots of great tips. If you're a renter, your own home, or if you're in an HOA. The San Diego Astronomy Association hosts star parties every week, and you can find them on sdaa.org. Get educated, read a book. There's lots of books about light pollution out there. You can view webinars on DarkSky's YouTube, and again, go back to darksky.org and learn more. You can certify your home as DarkSky friendly. If you do that and you submit that online, they'll send you a really nice sticker, and you just need to follow those 5 principles. And Lights Out San Diego, the San Diego Bird Alliance is here today. They're promoting Lights Out for Birds. We ask people to turn out lighting from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. to help birds migrate. And if you weren't aware, up to 1 million birds, well, actually in excess of 1 million birds, can fly over the county of San Diego in a single night, and you can visit Birdcast and actually watch live numbers that's taken by radar. It's absolutely amazing. And you can visit Dark Sky Places, and you're in one tonight. And in case you weren't aware, more than 40 parks within the National Park System have certified as International Dark Sky Places, and there's some close to us. Zion, Joshua Tree, Death Valley. And you can donate to Dark Sky. Help us take back the night. If you visit our website, darkskysandiego.org, we have a donate button. A donate button. I'm hungry, I guess. I need a donut. And that money goes to our chapter to help us do local work. And, you know, if you join Dark Sky, you're actually connecting with a global community of enthusiastic Dark Sky advocates. We do a lot of fun stuff with our chapter. We help you talk about that. And no light pollution talk is complete without a mention of string lights. String lights are pretty, but not at 3 a.m. Please check your local lighting ordinance. Talk to your neighbor if they have their string lights on all night or if they're bothering you in your bedroom. Share a Dark Sky pamphlet. Talk about Lights Out for Birds. And the good news is that shielded string lights, and there's covers available. You can retrofit your street lights by buying these nice little gold covers, you know, so they're now available. So let's stop wasting light. Light is energy. Energy costs money. An unshielded or improperly aimed LED light may be energy efficient, but it's still wasteful. Fix the leaks. Stop the spray. Shining light into the sky is foolish. And you can see the picture between the difference between these 2 Wells Fargo ATMs. Those are both close by, totally different light. Every light matters. Do your part. Light smart. And I'll close with this quote. What do we want to see at night? A bunch of bright glaring lights or billions of twinkling stars? The choice is ours. We can flip the switch on light pollution. Join us. The Dark Sky movement is growing. The time is now. We can make a change. This is a beautiful picture Kamala Venkatesh took here in a certified Dark Sky park on Zabrego Desert State Park. I thank you for your time and attention. May you enjoy a tranquil, star-filled night. Thank you so much.